What is up, everyone? Welcome to the FAA podcast. We are getting down to it. Week 15 closing out tonight. Doubleheader, Monday Night Football. Going to be maybe some exciting matchups. We'll see. Kind of record-wise, not great, but yeah, we got the Week 16 opener on Thursday. AFC West matchup, Broncos-Chargers. We'll get to preview of that. But let's hop in here to what went down college football, the last regular season game of the college season, the Army-Navy game, 125th annual, I believe it was. And a shocker, Navy just dominating number 22 Army. I, along with a lot of other people, were very, very surprised by this. I was listening to the game, and it was just Blake Horvath had a day. 4 of 9 passing, not the greatest, but 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. But just crushing the Army defense on the ground. 25 carries, 204 yards, 2 touchdowns for the midshipman quarterback. And Bryson Daly, the Navy defense was outstanding. And that was one of the questions we had on Friday, right? Did it benefit Army to play last week in the AAC championship game and continue to play and stay hot? Or was it going to benefit Navy having 2 weeks to prepare for this Army offense? And we see that Navy was the winner in that question there, because, like I said, Bryson Daly was shut down, 43.8% passing, 65 yards, touchdown, and 3 interceptions, really costly. 19 carries, only 52 yards for Daly. He had been averaging, I'm sure it was over 100 yards per game on the ground. They also shut down Kanye Udo there, the leading non-quarterback in the game, just 53 yards on 14 carries, 3.8 yards per. Some big plays to Eli Heidenreich there, 52-yard touchdown reception, one of the 2 that Horvath threw. And you see Navy running back Brandon Chapman, also an 18-yard touchdown reception there. Defensively, I'm going to go with the big man. How about Navy defense tackle Landon Robinson? A big tackle load, 13 tackles led the game, 3 of those solos, half a tackle for loss. And oh, by the way, fake punt, 29-yard run for the defensive tackle on the fake punt was really a sight to see, and great call by Navy's coaching staff there. So the midshipman plus 6.5 went outright over 39.5, which I was very excited. I had the over, so thank you, Army and Navy, for scoring some points for once in this matchup. All right, the other FBS game we had this weekend, the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl, the first bowl of bowl season. South Alabama 30-23 over Western Michigan. To be honest, Logan had a lone wolf on Western, Jimmy, but the stuff I had with South Alabama lost pretty quickly because it was like in with Army money line. So by the time this game kicked off at 9 o'clock Eastern, I was rooting for Western because I had a straight bet on Western Michigan, just a dog at like plus 280. So I was like, why not? Just $5 to win like 17 or something like that. So I was rooting for Western. They kept it close most of the game. It was just the better team. South Alabama won 30-23 here. It's always interesting, the 6-6 matchups, because it's like, damn, we get to go home with a losing record after making a bowl game, and kind of debilitating. But I was surprised Gio Lopez didn't play in this game for the Jaguars. It was Bishop Davenport at quarterback, 62.5%, 271. 2 touchdowns, a pick, 11 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown there. Gio Lopez type of numbers, though, to be honest. Hayden Wolf, he was probably the reason why I didn't pick Western. I just couldn't trust him. He has been very up and down most of the season, especially the second half. 63%, 196, touchdown, a pick, 4 carries, 11 yards there. Kentrell Bullock, that was a big factor in the Jaguars' game plan. No Fluff Bothwell, their all-star running back, the freshman, entering the transfer portal before this game, so it was the junior that got the start, and he made his mark. 17 carries, 130, a touchdown. Western couldn't run the ball. You see there, Jaden Nixon just 45 yards on the ground. Did have a decent average, over 4 yards per carry there. Big day for South Alabama wide receiver Jeremiah Webb as well. 6 for 182, 2 touchdowns, 30.3 yards per reception. That's pretty solid stat there. Not a lot defensively. I'm going to go with USA defensive lineman Ed Smith the fourth. 4 tackles, a solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. South Alabama -5.5 covered, under 54.5. Close one there. FCS quarterfinals started out on Friday night. Number 1, Montana State obliterating number 8 Idaho, 52-19 in Bozeman. And it actually wasn't that cold. They said on the announcers it was I think in the 20s, upper 20s. Not very windy either. So it was a nice night in Bozeman, Montana for the game. It was not a nice night for Jack Lane and the Vandals, though. Lane 66.7%, 239, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Touchdown Tommy, dude. This kid is just awesome. And like they mentioned a bunch of times on the broadcast as I was listening to it, more than likely he's going to win the Walter Payton Award, the FCS Heisman. 66.7% from a lot, 174, 2 touchdowns, a pick. How about 14 carries, 131 yards, and a rushing score as well. 3 total touchdowns on the night. Nick Josephek also came in late for the Vandals as the game was going away. 40%, 2 of 5, 18 yards, 4 carries for 12 yards there. Adam Jones, the freshman running back, he had himself quite a night, leading the non-quarterbacks in rushing, 23 carries, 95 yards, and 4 scores for the freshman running back. 3 catches, 66 yards, also a big workload in the passing game there. And even in a loss, Jordan Dwyer was fantastic for Idaho. 11 receptions, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. Big play after big play for him, even though they couldn't get the scores going there. And defensively, a bunch of stuff going on here. Montana State corner John Johnson with a pick. Idaho linebacker Isaiah King with a pick. And Montana State defensive end Brody Grebe with a fumble recovery there. And again, Montana State, along with Oregon, the only 2 Division I undefeated programs this season left. And, I mean, they look unbeatable, really. I mean, it just, I don't know. Especially considering they're going to get one more home game this weekend in the semifinals. They win that against South Dakota, then they go to Frisco to play the national championship. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's going to stop them here because they're just completely crushing everyone. And this game all stopped for Idaho. The downhill spiral started on an onside kick. Idaho tried an onside kick after they scored. I think they scored to make it a 2-score game. I think I forget when it was, but it was pretty close when they tried it. Didn't get it. Montana State goes down, scores touchdown. And then Idaho also tried a fake punt one time. Didn't get it. Montana State goes down and scores. They also, right before halftime, was when John Johnson picked off Jack Lane. And, of course, Montana State went down, kicked a field goal before halftime. So, yeah, it was a couple questionable coaching decisions from Jason X squad that kind of made their bed for them, though. Montana State, though, -14.5 covered easily, over 56.5. On Saturday, we had a triple-header FCS quarterfinals. The other 3 games, number 3, South Dakota State, 55-14 over number 6, Incarnate Word. Zach Calzada for the Cardinals, 72.5%, 258 touchdown pick, 14 carries, 23 yards, a rushing score. And just like touchdown Tommy, Mark Gronowski had a great day, 43.8% completion. I know, not great, right? but he made 7 completions, go for 174 and 3 touchdowns. Did throw an interception, but 5 carries, 17 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 5 total for Gronowski. Outstanding work for him. His running back, Amar Johnson, over 118 for 132. And then how about the big day for UIW wide receiver Roy Alexander in the loss? A lot of catches, 13, only 92 yards, though, 7.1 yards per reception, and a touchdown. 2 touchdown day for Jackrabbits wide receiver Griffin Wilde. He has been excellent. The Gronowski to Wilde connection is awesome to watch. And on the defense, South Dakota State getting turnovers. Safety Matthew Durant's got a pick. Safety Tucker Large with a fumble recovery. And UIW also got a couple. Defensive back Ronald Wilson with a pick. And linebacker Declan Williams with a fumble recovery. Jackrabbits minus 20.5. Covered over 54.5 by themselves. This was the closest game of the weekend. Number 4, South Dakota, 35-21 over number 5, UC Davis. And I know it's very small print because look at the turnovers, dude. This game is crazy. And I wish I would have watched / listened to this game, but I was listening to the Army-Navy game and at the end, the North Dakota State game. But Miles Hastings, all right, for the Aggies, 75%, 345, threw 3 touchdowns, but he threw 5 picks. South Dakota's quarterback, Aiden Bauman here, 63.6%, 253, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks for him. Running back Travis Teese had 2 touchdowns for the Coyotes in this one here. Big reception day for UCD wide receiver Trent Tompkins there, 11 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. 2 touchdown day for South Dakota tight end J.J. Galbraith. And then here's all the guys that had defensive impacts. Defensive player of the game, South Dakota linebacker Gary Bryant III, 2 turnovers for him, a pick and a fumble recovery. South Dakota also getting turnovers from linebacker Gabriel Hardman, defensive lineman Mosai Newsom, defensive lineman Josiah Ganuz, and defensive back Tevin McKelvey with interceptions. And then you had, for UC Davis, you had an interceptions by defensive backs Gavin Cook and Kavir Baines, and defensive lineman Zach Kennedy with a fumble recovery. So, crazy. 7 interceptions. I think there were 9 total turnovers in this game. And we still got 56 points. South Dakota covered -7, under 58.5. The final game of the FCS this weekend, number 2, North Dakota State, 31-7 romp over number 7, Mercer. And this game is weird. This game went into halftime 24-7 for North Dakota State. They scored the only points of the second half, and it came with just under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And thank God they did, Jimmy, because someone I know had North Dakota State spread. So they cashed for the spread, 31-7. Cam Miller, he is up for the Walter Payton Award, just like Tommy Millard is. And I think he's a good second place. He has had an outstanding season, 64%, 259, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 11 carries, 40 yards, a rushing score, 3 total for Miller on the day. This was always going to be a struggle for Mercer. They got out of the game last week against Rhode Island, 17-10. It's a true freshman quarterback. I mean, going on the road to the Fargo Dome, it was always going to be a tough sell for the Bears. But great experience for Whit Neubauer, 44.4%, 90 yards, touchdown, a pick. I was impressed by NDSU's defense shutting down Dwayne McGee, a guy that's ran for, I think, over 1,300 yards this year. Just 59 yards, although they did give up 4.2 yards per carry. 100-yard day for North Dakota State. Wide receiver Mekhi Collins, 4 for 119. 2 touchdowns for his teammate, wide receiver Bryce Lance. And how about the defense? Mercer safety Miles Redding, 2 picks. This guy's a ball hawk, Jimmy. 9 picks this year for the Bears safety there, and NDSU corner Anthony Chidime Alfaro with the interception off of Neubauer. NDSU covered minus 23.5 by the hook. And under 52.5 hit pretty easily there. Let's go to the NFL. Cowboys 30-14 over the Panthers. Why didn't someone save the graphic? Why couldn't someone save the graphic? We all picked Carolina in this game. Bryce Young struggled 67.9%, 219, a touchdown, 2 picks, 3 carries, 12 yards, touchdown, 2 fumbles, 4 total turnovers on the day. But to be honest, dude, this is not Bryce's fault, man. He got banged and hit all day. And it's like, bro, like, what is he supposed to do? I mean, he's getting pressured within 3 seconds. Like, I don't know what else he was supposed to do. The fumbles are on him because he needs to be stronger with his hands. Need to get the grip workouts this offseason, Bryce. You need to get those the grip weights. But again, it's just the pressure all day. I think they sacked him 8 times, 10 hits, if I can recall the exact stats there. Micah Parsons was dominant. See him there, 4 tackles, 3 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackle swaps, 2 QB hits. That's my player of the game. Defensively, Cooper Rush, though, 62.1%, 214, 3 touchdowns, a fumble. Really, I was impressed. The Carolina defense did a good job most of the day, in the first half anyways. But, yeah, Dallas, 6 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 10 QB hits there. But, yeah, it was a different Carolina game than we've been used to the last 4 weeks. And Cowboys, I guess, still technically have a chance with 3 weeks to go.
But again, like when we said kind of last week with Carolina, the best thing they honestly can do for themselves is lose out. Good or bad games, best thing to do really is to lose out and get one of the top non-QB prospects in this upcoming draft.
Yeah.
Don't want to lose like this, but loss is a loss.
Yeah. Rico Dowdle continues to be a revelation for Dallas. 3rd straight 100-yard game for him. 25 carries, 149 yards. And, yeah, that was interesting for the Dallas defense. They shut Chuba Hubbard down. They came into this game 30th in rushing defense and held him to 32 yards, 3.2 yards per carry there. CD Lamb, 100-yard day for him. 13 targets, caught 9 for 116 and a touchdown. How about Jalen Coker? Big day. 6 targets, caught 4 for 110 and a touchdown. 83 of that coming on a touchdown, though, right before halftime, which got Carolina back in the game, but couldn't do much after that. And I already said Micah's my defensive player of the game here. Mm-hmm. Cowboys plus 2.5 win outright over 41.5. Ravens, dang, man, I thought the Giants were going to cover. Luckily, I didn't bet on this game. 35-14 for the Ravens over the Giants. And, I mean, it just when you think it can't get worse for the Giants, it does. Drew Lock was out for this game. So Tommy DeVito got the start. Was accurate, 76.9%. But only 6.8 yards per completion, 68 yards there. And then Tommy gets hurt. It's like, God damn, we're down to Tim Boyle now. All right, here we go. 50% for Boyle, 123, touchdown and a pick. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, I think that, if the Raiders lose tonight, I think they are still ahead of the Giants in terms of strength of schedule for the number 1 pick. Mm-hmm. I have a hard time feeling the Giants won't get the number 1 pick. I know there's 3 weeks to go, but I just have a feeling the Giants are somehow going to beat the Raiders out for the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if the Raiders somehow pulled it off tonight and screwed themselves over.
Yeah, I just don't know how the Giants can win again this year. It's just, their defense can hold them in some of these games, but they don't have an offense. They can't run the ball because there's no threat of a passing game.
Yeah, and one other thing, I don't know how Neighbors is so close to 1,000 yards receiving with how many bum ass quarterbacks he's had throwing to him. I think that's the most impressive part of all of this.
He's DeAndre Hopkinsing it.
He really is. It's really impressive.
Lamar, spectacular day for him. 84%, 290, 5 touchdown passes, 6 carries, 65 yards. Did have a fumble that probably cost him a perfect passer rating there. That was the only blemish. When I saw his passer rating was 154.6, I was like, bro, he just threw for almost 85% and 5 touchdowns. Maybe they wanted him to throw 300 yards. I don't know. But like I said, I think the fumble might have cost him a perfect passer rating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. One thing that was interesting in this game, Derrick Henry. You would have thought the Ravens win by 21. Henry would have had a big day. And, they would have been up and running the ball. But for one, he only got 14 carries. And for two, although he did have a good average, 4.8, again, you would have thought Derrick Henry would have ran for 100 in this game. But he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy managers, a little pissed maybe. I don't know. It didn't affect me. I the one league I have him in, I got to buy, baby. So yeah. we're good. Let's see what else we have in this game here. Yeah, Malik, like you said, big target day, 14, caught 10 for 82 and a touchdown. 2 touchdown day for wide receiver Rashad Bateman on his 5 targets there. And how about Devontae Walker catching his first career touchdown? I believe it is, because he's been inactive for a bunch of games this year. And
2 guys that would have gotten me more points if I started them over Jawan Jennings. Oh, I'm still in line to win.
21-yard touchdown there on his only target for Tez Walker. It helped me a lot. I had him in a bunch, or in the I've advanced to the second round of the best ball leagues on DraftKings. So him scoring that touchdown on his only reception, 9.1 points. He's in my starting lineup right now until tonight. Hopefully I get some more guys scoring over 9.1 points. Defensively, though, I'm going to go with Ravens linebacker Malik Harrison. 8 tackles, 2 solos, sack, tackle for loss, 2 QB hits. You got to give it up, though. Giant safety Dane Belton. 15 tackles in this game. Crazy number. Ravens minus 16.5 covered. Over 43.5. That has to be one of the biggest covers in a while for a favorite. That's why, like I said, on Friday, I just thought it was too many points for an NFL game. Jets. How about the Jets? 32-25 over the Jags. And yeah. John and I on the Jets.
All right, I believed in action. Give me a break. Did you not see his Rizzler first down celebration? Dude, I was believing. He had me believing.
Well, what a game for Aaron Rodgers. 53.3%, 289, 3 touchdowns, 6 carries. How about 45 yards? Aaron Rodgers led the Jets in rushing in this game.
Yeah, crazy. Crazy. He played well enough to ruin another Jets season next year. In the draft Jones, and when he comes back, inevitably.
Mac Jones, 67.4%, 294, 2 touchdowns, but 2 picks, 4 carries, 29 yards here. And Travis Etienne, like, bro, why couldn't you have done this before? And shame on the Jaguars as well. Like, what the hell? We had about a month and a half, maybe even 2 months, of Tank Bigsby being the leading ball carrier in terms of carries, right? And now, all of a sudden, in Week 15, you decide to go back to Travis Etienne as your leading ball carrier with 14 carries in this game. And what does he do? What does he do? He has his season high in rushing yards.
And he gets 4 receptions as well. He's dual threat. I mean,
He's
What
always
else
been
is
a
there to say?
PPR guy, but I don't know what we still don't know why Doug's there, but I mean the Jags defense did a good job rush defense though. Like I said, Brees Hall 3.3 yards per carry, not very good, but this game was about Tay. Devontae Adams just went crazy. 9 for 198, 2 touchdowns on 12 targets there. The 71-yard touchdown reception to give the Jets. Or no, that was to they tied it, and then Jags went down, kicked a field goal. Or no, they took the lead on that one. Jags went down, kicked a field goal to tie it, I believe, and then at 25, and then they marched down and got the game-winning touchdown, which was questionable by the announcers and some other people at the time because the Jags let them score, essentially. But Jets defense got the pick off Mac Jones to end it. Brian Thomas also, big day. 14 targets, 10 receptions, 105, 2 touchdowns. Tight end Brenton Strange. How about the second-year man out of Penn State? 12 targets, caught 11 for 73. I think he's second year. Can't remember he's first or second. I don't remember. But pretty good filling in for Evan Ingram, who's out for the year with surgery. And defensively, I am going to go with Sauce Gardner. 5 tackles, 2 solos, 2 pass defense, and a pick. The game sealer. Jets minus 3.5. Covered. Over 41.5. How about the Jets back-to-back games? Just crazy. Crazy endings. Okay, so the Commanders 20-19 over the Saints. This is shameful. I was rooting for the Saints at the end because, I mean, good Lord. Like, the Commanders were up 14-0 in New Orleans against a Jake Haener-led team who was not doing anything, by the way. They kicked 2 more field goals. And then Greg Joseph, your guy, your guy, Jimmy.
Back, baby.
Greg Joseph. I think he missed 2.
Third leg Joseph.
I think he missed 2. I know he missed 1.
Yeah, that's a Greg
2,
Joseph special right there.
I think he went 2 for 4 in this game, something like that.
Heck yeah, that's the Greg Joseph I know and love.
But I cannot understand how Dan Quinn's team let Spencer Rattler bring this team almost all the way back.
Don't ask
I was
me.
feeling so good, Jimmy. Feeling so good about my best bet of minus 7.5 and about my regular bet of minus 7 when we were up 14-0. Jake Haener's playing like shit. I was like, dude, and that's the thing. Spencer Rattler didn't even have a good stat line. 47.6%, 135, a touchdown. Not great.
No, not at all.
But somehow they let them come back. And
doesn't help that there was a little bit of ref-ing near the end there. Near the goal line with the game clock.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you didn't see? I mean, at the end, very end, like last play, the play before the play that the Saints scored at, their goal line. Down in bounds with 9 seconds to go, clock stops. Like, stops.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the refs after the game were like, oh,
yeah. The ref came in and was waving his arms to stop the clock for some reason on a first down.
Yeah. Was this a college ref that got called in for late replacement for this game?
Yeah.
Like, that was wild.
I still think it wouldn't have mattered.
Same. I think they would have still probably gone up and spiked the ball for a couple seconds. But the very fact that did happen is really wild to me. That's just not something that should happen in the NFL.
Because they spiked it with 4, 3.
It was 4. It was, I think, at the time of snap, it was 5. Ball hits ground, it's 4. But I mean, if the clock's running, it's probably closer to 2-1, maybe even not enough time. Maybe they would have to run a play instead of spiking, but still, it was concerning.
Well, what was concerning is that Brian Robinson Jr. didn't score in this game. And the fact that he ran for 3.1 yards per carry on 21 carries. Saints defense really did a good job of shutting him down. Jaden Daniels, he was good though. 80.6%, 226, 2 touchdowns, 11 carries, 66 yards. Back to his early season Jaden Daniels form, I think. But again, the fact that they could only afford 6 points in the second half was not great. One interesting note was Kendre Miller leading the Saints in carries. That was due to Kamara being banged up, which we'll talk about. Kamara only 12 yards on 5 carries in this game. Did have the big receiving touchdown. How about the big day for Scary Terry? 10 targets, 7 for 73, and 2 touchdowns. But again, just like a lot of the Washington team, like he was not a big factor in the second half. The offense just kind of went away. And by the way, the missed kicks for Greg Joseph, that is Darren Rizzi being just a voodoo priest guy. They're in New Orleans, right? And the amount of missed kicks that this man has had as interim head coach after being the special teams coordinator before that. I'm just saying, there is some weird shit going on in New Orleans because Darren Rizzi, I don't know. Special teams coordinator, now interim head coach, and now all of a sudden teams are just missing kicks against New Orleans. It's weird stuff. A lot of defense in this game. I think I am going to go with Saints defensive end Cam Jordan though. 6 tackles, 3 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackle loss, 2 QB hits. Saints plus 7.5 covered, under 44.5. Bengals, 37-27 over the Titans. What was there, 10 turnovers in this game?
Yeah.
Something like that. And yet we still got 64 points. Yeah. And I am still every week, Jimmy, I continue to feel really good about my Joe Burrow comeback player of the year bet. It's coming. I'm excited about it. 70.3% for Joey B, 271, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a fumble. And what do you know? There was another missed face mask on Joe Burrow this week. And this is why the NFL is saying, yes, we are probably going to look at adding that to replay assist next year. Because it's been ridiculous this entire season. The amount of quarterbacks getting face masked and no calls on the field. It's just... It needs to stop, and that's why replay assist needs to come in, call the penalty, and move forward. Quarterback controversy in Tennessee. Unfortunately, because I need the Titans to go at best 4-13. So I was loving watching Will Levis lose games every week. 66.7%, 89 yards, 3 picks, and a fumble for Will Levis. Excellent stats. Good job, sir. Mason Rudolph, why? 80.8%, 209, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 2 carries for 14 yards. Yeah, my under 4.5 live season bet is going to be very scary coming down the stretch here, Jimmy, with Mason Rudolph at the helm, potentially. They haven't made the decision yet, but I don't know why you wouldn't if you're the Titans and you actually want to win. Chase Brown had an excellent day in real life and in fantasy. Was under 4 yards per carry, but got a big workload, 25 carries, 97 yards, touchdown, caught a touchdown as well on his 3 catches. Bengals defense, how about shutting down the Titans running attack? 2.6 yards per carry for Pollard, 1.3 yards per carry for Spears. Spears, though, did have 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving, 7 targets. Caught 6 of those for Tajay. Jamar Chase had another good game, 11 targets, 9 for 94. Why couldn't you get in the end zone, Jamar? I'm pissed. And for the Titans, Chigakonkwo, 10 targets, caught 8 for 59. Defensively, a lot of good performances in this game, considering 10 turnovers. I'm going to go with Bengals safety Geno Stone, though. 5 tackles, 1 solo, 1 pass defense, 39-yard pick 6. He would have been joined by the man that was the second leading tackler in this game, Jordan Battle. But I cannot believe we had this happen twice this week. Gentlemen dropping the ball before the end zone. It's crazy.
I mean this like unironically. If I was a coach, you're benched for the rest of the game. Like I don't care if you're my best offensive player. Like, get the hell off the field. Like, there's no way. Like, get the hell off the field. I'm not letting you play.
Yeah. The fact that it happened in one of the 1:00 games, and then we'll talk about it in a second, but it happened in a 4:25 game too. Like, bro, you had to have known this happened earlier.
Like, come on, how do you do this? Like, legitimately, how do you do this? How do you constantly keep doing this?
Bengals covered though, -6.5, over 46.5, 67.4 there. Chiefs, yeah, what do you know? The Chiefs won again, 21-7 over the Browns. And to be honest, I was very scared. So I had the under in this game, which hit. But watching this game, I was like, oh my goodness. Like the Browns are just giving away points. They're like freaking Oprah. They're like, you get some points, you get some points, you get some points. Because they were just turning the ball over. I mean, it was a Jameis Winston hat trick special here with 3 interceptions. And some miracle, which is why I had the under in this game. Because I thought the Browns would be able to do this. They're a good enough defense that I thought with how poorly the Chiefs have been playing in terms of offense and scoring, that Cleveland will be able to hold them to a decent amount of points, which they did, 21. But yeah, Mahomes, 50%, 159, 2 touchdowns, 2 carries, 14 yards. Talk about his injury in a little bit. Mentioned Jameis, 64%, 146, 3 picks, benched in this game. DTR came in 44.4%, 18 yards and a pick, 3 carries, 16 yards. The other quarterback controversy we have this week going on with Titans and the Browns. Not sure who's going to start there. Nick Chubb, touchdown in this game, 84 yards, 12 yards per carry. Pretty crazy. Chiefs couldn't run the ball. Kareem Hunt, just 3.5 yards per carry there. Jerry Jeudy, I mean, the one thing that he does that the Browns do have going for them on offense is whenever Jameis is playing, Jerry Jeudy goes off. 14 targets, 11 receptions, 108 yards. Xavier Worthy also double-digit targets, 11, caught 6 for 46, and 3 carries for 30 yards and a touchdown. I know there was a lot of people wanting his touchdown to be a reception because, you know, you would get the extra point for the reception there. Maybe it matters in some fantasy games. I don't know. Didn't matter for me, but it was officially ruled as a rush, and they're not changing it. So a lot of defense in this one as well. I got to go with the Chiefs defensive end George Karlaftis, 2 tackles, both them solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles lost, 3 QB hits. Chiefs -3.5 covered under 41.5. Texans 20-14 over the Dolphins. I hate the Dolphins so much, Jimmy. Hate them. Tua, accurate, 72.5%, 196 touchdown, but he threw it 3 times to the other team and gave him the ball 1 other time. It's just, you can't do it, man. And to be honest, though, when the Dolphins had a chance there at the end to go down and tie the game, I don't blame that last interception on Tua. Not at all. That's on Tyreek Hill. He has to have stronger hands than Derek Stingley and pull that ball in because it was a decently thrown ball. And Tyreek's hands touched it before Stingley's did. So that interception is totally on Tyreek. He has to get that. So I'll only count Tua as having 2 interceptions because I don't remember what the other ones look like. But, yeah. That was bad at the end on Tyreek, who didn't have that great of a game. Anyways, CJ Stroud really didn't do a ton. 69.2%, 131, 2 touchdowns, a fumble. Neither team could run the ball. Devon Achane, 3.4 yards per carry there. Of course, saving his fantasy days like he always does with his receiving, caught all 7 of his targets for 35 yards. And like I said, the Texans couldn't run it either. 1.9 yards per carry for Joe Mixon in this one. Their leading rusher, 35 yards on a fake punt for Dario Gumbawale in his only carry of the game. And another weird, talk about, again, this game was weird. It just had a totally weird vibe. And the stats show why it was weird. Malik Washington was the leading receiver in this game, people. caught 5 of his 6 targets for 52 yards. We don't see Tyreek. We don't see Jalen Waddle on here. Jonnu Smith had another big target day, 11, caught 9 for 48 and a touchdown. 2 touchdown day for Nico Collins, by far saving his fantasy performance because otherwise, without those 2 touchdowns, 4 for 17 is not great. And defensively, how about let's go with Dolphins linebacker Chop Robinson, the rookie. 2 tackles, a solo, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 4 QB hits. Derek Stingley, though, is another quality candidate on the winning side. Did have 2 interceptions off Tua in this game. Texans minus 2.5 covered under 46.5. Best side, East side, baby. Eagles 27-13 over the Steelers. 10 wins in a row. They win. They continue their win streak in Philadelphia against the Steelers. Steelers haven't won in Philly since 65, and it'll be another 4 years before they get another chance. Jalen Hurts. I loved the responses to Hurts and A.J. Brown in the media after. Jalen said, "That's what y'all wanted to see, wasn't it?" And A.J. Brown's telling everyone to shut up. So I love it. I love it. They don't have an issue, obviously. And we knew this game was coming from Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown after all the shit going down this weekend in the media. So, and they delivered. 78.1% for Jalen, 290, 2 touchdowns, 15 carries, 45 yards, touchdown, and a fumble. And again, this Vic Fangio defense, man, it is lights out. 63.6%, 128 touchdown for Russ, 4 carries, 13 yards, and a fumble. Saquon, not a great day. But I knew that was coming. The Steelers were number 1 in rush defense in the league, 3.4 yards per carry for Saquon, just 65 yards. Also, it was concerning for me and a lot of other Eagles fans and probably some other people that were non-affiliated, but Saquon not playing a lot of the second quarter was interesting, but he did come back, played in the second half, which was nice to see. But it's okay. All he has to do, Jimmy, last 3 games, 139 yards per game to break Dickerson's record. And he's going against 3 divisional opponents who all rank in the bottom third in rushing defense. So he's got a chance. He has a chance. Definitely. I think he can do it. The questionable thing will be week 18. I will be clicking my pen a lot because of if they don't play him or they don't play any of the starters week 18. But I think they're going to have to. If the way the NFC keeps going with Minnesota and Detroit, I think all 3 are going to be playing up until week 18. And what do you know? Minnesota plays Detroit week 18. Eagles defense did a great job on the Steelers running attack. Najee, 2.3 yards per carry. Very ineffective there, just 14 yards. A.J. Brown, like I said, not surprised that he had this type of game. 11 targets, 8 for 110 and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, though, he was the surprise in this one, I thought. He had a massive game. 12 targets, caught 11 for 109 and a touchdown. And defensively, dude, how about Nolan Smith in this game? 4 tackles, 3 solos, a sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, and 2 QB hits. TJ Watt also had a great game. But I have been highly impressed by the second-year player out of, what do you know? Georgia. Go Dogs. Eagles minus 5.5 covered, under 43.5. We were wrong. We thought that the Steelers were going to cover. They did not. Broncos, 31-13 over the Colts. How about the second half by this Broncos defense and Bo Nix? Anthony Richardson did Anthony Richardson things. 44.7% on par. 172. 2 picks on par. 7 carries, 46 yards of rushing touchdown there. I was impressed by Bo Nix in the second half. 60.6%, 130. 3 touchdowns. Did throw 3 interceptions. 8 carries, 23 yards. But the second half, the resiliency that he had, and again, this Broncos defense just completely shut down the Colts in the second half, helped out by Mr. Taylor dropping the ball before the goal line, just like Jordan Battle did about an hour and a half before that. So, yeah. Jonathan Taylor, though, over 122 carries, 107 yards in that fumble. 1 reception for 4 yards there. Broncos couldn't run the ball. Jaleel McLaughlin, very ineffective, just 3 yards per carry there. Michael Pittman also had a fumble in this game. Defensively, I think I'm going to go with Broncos safety Brandon Jones. 9 tackles, 8 solos, 3 pass defense, and a pick. Broncos minus 3.5. Covered over 43.5 by the hook. And pretty much solidify their spot in the playoffs with this win, getting it to a 3-game deficit for the Colts. Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals. Cardinals, they're still fighting, 30-17, snapping a 3-game losing streak. Kyler Murray was really good, 76.7%, 224, 5 carries, 11 yards. Dude, but Drake May, though, it's just like the Panthers, except Drake May's a rookie and Bryce Young's second-year guy. It's just like Drake May, he's going to be the dude because he is playing outstanding football right now for New England. They're losing, but they just need players around him. 82.6% for the Rook. 202, touchdown, a pick, 4 carries, 14 yards, a rushing touchdown as well. James Conner was fantastic in this game. 16 carries, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns, caught all 5 of his targets for 28 yards. Trey McBride. Jimmy, you got Trey McBride in any leagues?
I do, actually.
How do you feel about him breaking the record for the most receptions by a tight end in NFL history without a touchdown?
Listen, he still got me 17.7 points. I'm fine. He was 1 yard away. He had a reception at the 1 yard line. I was like, yes.
The catch that broke the record. That one was.
Oh, my gosh. It was so close. And the funny thing is, too, he's still so effective even without it. He still gets like 6 to 8 receptions per game, at least 80 yards per game. So, like, if he gets one game where he gets a touchdown, I'm like, he's going from like the 13 to 18 range he's always into like 20.
Yeah.
So he's consistent as hell. But one of these
10 targets, 9 for 87. Yeah. Not a lot of defense in terms of statistics. I'm going to go with Cardinals linebacker Baron Browning. When I saw this stat, I was like, oh, I totally forgot he got traded at the deadline to the Cardinals. I thought he was still on the Broncos. 2 tackles, both of them solos, 1 sack, 2 tackle swaths, and a QB hit. Cardinals minus 5.5, covered over 46.5 by the hook. Back-to-back hook games there. This was not a hook game. The highest scoring game in the NFL, surpassing the Rams-Bills game from last weekend. 48-42, Buffalo wins in Detroit.
Damn.
And I got to get my readers on for this one, Jimmy, because there's a lot of stuff going on.
I'm actually zooming in with my phone.
So Jared Goff, 64.4%, 494, 5 touchdowns, 2 carries for 13 yards, and give Josh Allen the MVP. 67.6%, 362, 2 touchdowns, 11 carries, 68 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he should have had 3 passing touchdowns. Should have had. I mean, just the craziest play that never counted. Just the casual flip, underhand flip to Dawson Knox in the end zone was just ridiculous. And they brought it back for holding or illegal man downfield, whatever it was. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. James Cook went over 100 in this one, 14 for 105, 2 touchdowns, 28-yard reception as well. You had Jahmyr Gibbs scoring 2 touchdowns. Thank you, sir. I have you in best ball. Needed that. And how about Ty Johnson? I was very impressed by the Bills' passing attack to the running backs in this game. Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and James Cook. James Cook only had 1 reception, but Davis scored a receiving touchdown there on his 2 catches. And Ty Johnson, while he only had 2 carries for 9 yards rushing, how about catching all 5 of his targets for 114 receiving yards? The wheel route was very effective for Johnson in this one. Amon-Ra St. Brown went crazy, 18 targets there, caught 14 for 193, a touchdown and a fumble. Tight end Sam Laporta for the Lions, also over 110 targets for him, 7 for 111. The interesting thing, the Bills' leading receiver was just Keon Coleman with only 64 yards on 1 catch, but that's because Ty Johnson was the leading receiver. Keon Coleman leading non-running back there. Just 64 yards on his only reception, 2 targets for him. And what the hell? Tim Patrick keeps scoring touchdowns somehow. I don't get it. But Dan Skipper scored a touchdown in this one, the big boy, catching a 9-yard score from Jared Goff. And defensively, I am going to go with Bills corner Christian Benford, 6 tackles, 5 solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defense, and 1 QB hit. Greg Rousseau also good game in this one. So, yeah, Bills still looking. They're still 2 games back from the Chiefs, but they're hoping.
Yeah.
And Bills are the only team in the NFL to beat both the Chiefs and the Lions.
I mean, they're my AFC Championship favorite at this point.
Just like the Bucs, the only team in the NFL to beat the Eagles and the Lions. Yeah, so the Bills plus 2.5 went outright over 55.5 quite easily, 90 points in that one. This was the most shocking game, I think, of all of them this weekend. The Bucs completely dominating the Chargers 40-17. And I thought the weird thing about this game, the Chargers led at halftime 17-13. Bucs scored 27 unanswered points to win this game. And the catalyst was Baker Mayfield, 81.5%, 288, 4 touchdowns, a pick, 2 carries, 25 yards there. Justin Herbert wasn't a bad day, really. I mean, 63.6%, 195, 2 touchdowns, a pick. But they couldn't get the plays they needed. And I think once they got the halftime adjustments for Tampa defensively, it really took a toll on the Chargers not being able to run the ball, which, again, has been one of the weirdest things since J.K. Dobbins got hurt. I just still don't understand why Gus Edwards can't be effective, because it's the same system that he ran in Baltimore under Greg Roman, and he just is not running like he did in Baltimore, where he was really good. Although he was a backup in Baltimore for the majority of his time, just like he was in LA this year before becoming the starter in the Dobbins injury. But it just doesn't make sense. They have the offensive line to do it. J.K. Dobbins was doing it. Gus Edwards obviously is not near explosive as J.K. is. But I just don't think – I still have to think that he's a better option than Kimani Vidal. You know, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Bucky Irving, though, went crazy. 100-yard rushing day for him, for the rookie, with 15 carries, 117 yards, 2 receptions, minus 4 yards. Mike Evans had a hell of a day. 11 targets, caught 9 for 159, 2 touchdowns. Just consistently getting behind the Chargers secondary there. And defensively, Bucs linebacker Levante David leading the game in tackles, 12 of them, for 8 of those solos, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle loss, 3 QB hits. Monster performance for the veteran. Bucs plus 3 went outright over 45.5 easily there. Sunday Night Football last night, Packers dominating the Seahawks in Seattle 30-13. Geno Smith injured 78.9%, 149 and a pick. Sam Howell, first year as a Seahawk, coming in 35.7%, 24 yards and a pick. He did Sam Howell things like throwing interceptions. Jordan Love was really good, though, 74.1%, 229, 2 touchdowns there. Josh Jacobs, great first half, not a great second half. Under 4 yards per carry, 3.6 there. Did score a touchdown and a fumble, though. Zach Charbonnet, I hate you. Why couldn't you get 6 more rushing yards? Bro. Can't deal with it right now. Big workload for Jackson Smith and Jigba. 12 targets, caught 10 for 83 in this game. 2 touchdown day for Romeo Dobbs. First game back in a while, dealing with a concussion. 2 scores on his 5 targets there. And, dude, how about the monster nights for the Packers here? Linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, defensive end Kingsley Enagbare. Cooper, the rookie, 7 tackles, 6 solos, sack, 2 tackle loss, 2 pass defense, 2 QB hits, and a pick to top it all off. Enagbare there, all 5 of his tackles were solos, 2 sacks, 3 tackles lost, 2 QB hits. Packers minus 2.5 went out, covered under 48.5 there. And the Packers, they have an interesting stat line as well this year. 4 losses, 2 to the Lions, 1 to the Eagles, and 1 of the Vikings. The 3 teams that have 2 losses in the league.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out for them.
And that's why I agree with Chris Collinsworth. I think the Packers are the sneakiest team that's coming into the playoffs, just like they were last year.
Yeah. The tough thing is, though, they're more than likely going to have to face 1, if not 2, of those 3 teams you just mentioned in the playoffs. And most likely on the road. That'd be a tough sell for them.
Yeah. I mean, right now it looks like an okay matchup. The wild card going to be the NFC South or the NFC West winner.
That shouldn't be much of a problem.
So, because those 2 are tied right now with the Bucs and Rams at 8 and 6. Bucs have the 3rd seed currently. What? Nothing breaking. I don't see. Let me see. Nothing pressing going on. Unless you want to talk about Sacramento State. You want to talk about Sacramento State? How about the Hornets? Yeah, the Hornets. They are in the process of, or in talks anyways, to hire former NFL quarterback Mike Vick as their new head coach. He will be the guy, if they sign him, to lead the Hornets into the FBS, because they are trying to get there. They're working on a new stadium right now and have apparently $50 million in an account to start spending on NIL money. So, yeah, the Sacramento State could potentially be FBS program within the next, 3 or 4 years. Mike Vick at the helm. College news. Let's go to the All-American squad. The AP announced their All-American team. I'll just run through them real quick. I don't think there was a ton of inaccuracies in here in terms of who should have been first team, second team, whatever. But first team offense, Miami quarterback Cam Ward. Running backs, Boise State, Ashton Genty, and Arizona State, Cam Scadaboo. Wide receivers, San Jose State, Nick Nash, Arizona, Tetro McMillan, Miami, Xavier Restrepo. Tight end, Bowling Green, Harold Fannin Jr. That's one I'll say. That's one I will say. What the hell? Tyler Warren's the guy that won the Mackey Award, okay? Harold Fannin didn't. So I don't get that one from the AP, but just saying. Tackles, Texas, Kelvin Banks Jr., LSU's Will Campbell. Guards, Western Michigan's Addison West and North Carolina's Willie Lampkin. Center was Florida's Jake Slaughter. I know you probably got a problem with that, Jimmy. Seth McLaughlin didn't get first team for Ohio State.
Well, he didn't beat Michigan, so I don't give a damn.
And he was hurt for the last 2 or 3 games of the year.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
The kicker, Louisiana kicker, Kenneth Almendarez, the Lou Groza Award winner, so it makes sense there. And the all-purpose player on the first team offense, Colorado's Travis Hunter. First team defense, Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter, Boston edge rusher Donovan Ezeruaku. Defensive tackles, or interior defensive line as they like to call it, Michigan's Mason Graham and Ole Miss's Walter Nolan. Linebackers, Iowa's Jay Higgins, Buffalo's Sean Dolick, UCLA's Carson Schwessinger. Corners, Texas Jahdae Barron and Colorado's Travis Hunter. Safeties, Notre Dame's Xavier Watts and Ohio State's Caleb Downs. Defensive back, South Carolina's Nick Emanwari. And the punter, Florida State's Alex Mastermano. That one was interesting, I thought, because USC's punter, Eddie Saplicki, he won the Ray Guy Award, not Alex Mastermano. So we'll see. Zaplicki ended up third team on the All-American list. Second team offense, Colorado's QB Shedeur Sanders. Running backs, North Carolina's O'Marion Hampton. Iowa's Caleb Johnson. Wide receivers, Colorado's Travis Hunter. Ole Miss's Trey Harris. Ohio State's Jeremiah Smith. Tight end was Penn State's Tyler Warren. Tackles, Utah's Spencer Fano. West Virginia's Wyatt Millum. Guards, Alabama's Tyler Booker. Ohio State's Donovan Jackson. Georgia's Dylan Fairchild. The center, Ohio State center Seth McLaughlin, the second team there. Kicker, two of them, Michigan's Dominic Zavada and Kentucky's Alex Rayner. And the all-purpose player, Pittsburgh's Desmond Reed. Second team defense, South Carolina edge rusher Kyle Kennard, Marshall's edge rusher Mike Green. I sort of had an issue with Mike Green being second team instead of Boston College's Donovan Ezrawaku. I mean, come on, bro. Mike Green led the nation in sacks. He had 17 freaking sacks this year. How was he not first team? Second team, but interior defensive line, Oregon's Derek Harmon, Texas' Alfred Collins. Linebackers, Texas' Anthony Hill Jr., Oklahoma's Danny Stutzman, Pittsburgh's Kyle Lewis. Corners, Cal's Noel Williams, Tennessee's Dermod McCoy. Safeties, Georgia's Malachi Starks and Alabama's Malachi Moore. Defensive back, Texas' Michael Taff. And the punter there, Georgia's punter, Brett Thorson. Third team offense, Oregon's quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. Running backs, Tennessee's Dylan Sampson, UCF's RJ Harvey. Wide receivers, Maryland's Ty Felton, Iowa State's Jaden Higgins, Arizona State's Jordan Tyson, and FIU's Eric Rivers. The tight end, Syracuse, Arande Gadsden the second. Tackles, Oregon's Josh Connerly Jr., Minnesota's Arianti Ursary. Guards, Georgia's Tate Ratledge, Army's Paolo Generali. Colorado State center, Jacob Gardner. Florida State kicker, Ryan Fitzgerald. SMU's all-purpose player, Brashard Smith. Third team defense, edge rushers, Virginia Tech's Antoine Powell-Ryland, Indiana's Mikhail Kamara. Interior D-line, Virginia Tech's Anais Peebles, and Michigan's Kenneth Grant. Linebackers, Ole Miss Chris Paul Jr., Clemson's Barrett Carter, Georgia's Jalen Walker. That one I also have an issue with. Jalen Walker won the Buckus Award. How is he not higher than third team? Corners, Duke's Chandler Rivers, Michigan's Will Johnson. That one was interesting. Will Johnson, third team defense. I think the reason was, though, missed a ton of games. So, safeties, Ohio State, Lathan Ransom, UNLV's Jalen Catalon, the defensive back, Kansas, Mello Dotson, and I mentioned USC's punter, Eddie Saplicki, third team punter on the defense there. Coaching carousel, I already mentioned the Mike Vick news, but how about New Mexico? John's squad here. They got a new head coach. They hired Idaho's head coach, Jason Eck, as the new front man for the Lobos. Got a lot of work to do. New Mexico had the highest number of transfer players, 29 in the portal currently, and a couple of those guys already found homes. So Jason Eck's got some work to do to try to get some of those guys to come back to New Mexico. I'm sure he will be bringing some guys from Idaho, as we have seen coaches do in this era of the portal. Speaking of the portal, let's go through it. Akron defensive tackle C.J. Nunnally IV. He has a couple of visits lined up. Appalachian State, East Carolina, and FAU. Baylor quarterback Daquan Finn has entered the transfer portal. I'm assuming that meant he got his medical waiver that he was applying for. Not sure, but he is in the portal. Talked about New Mexico players leaving. Well, their leading wide receiver this year, Luke Wysong, he has committed to Arizona. So good get for Coach Fish there. Or no, did Fish went to Washington? I can't remember. Anyways, Oklahoma quarterback Jackson Arnold, he has committed to Auburn. Miami, Ohio, a couple of receivers here. Reggie Virgil committed to Texas Tech. Javon Tracy has committed to Minnesota. Kentucky wide receiver Dane Key, he visited Ole Miss. Wide receiver Barrion Brown has committed to LSU. Purdue tight end Max Clare has a visit with Texas A&M. Safety Dylan Tieneman, committed to Oregon. North Dakota State safety Cole Wisniewski committed to Texas Tech. Ball State tight end Tanner Koziel committed to Wisconsin. Wisco's having a solid transfer portal so far. Badgers are working some phones. Charlotte wide receiver Omega Blake, he has visits lined up with South Carolina, Florida State, and Arkansas. TCU wide receiver JoJo Early has gone into the portal. USC quarterback Miller Moss has committed to Louisville, so big get for the Cardinals in the portal. FIU wide receiver Eric Rivers visiting Georgia Tech. Kennesaw State running back Quay Ashley has committed to Ball State. Alabama running back Justice Haynes visiting Ole Miss in South Carolina. Wide receiver Kobe Prentice visiting with Baylor. Big news out of Happy Valley, Penn State quarterback Bo Pribula has entered the transfer portal. Very sad to see Bo go. I was excited to see him next year again, but has to do what's best for him. San Diego State quarterback Danny O'Neal, he is committed to Wisconsin. I already told our guy Danny Potter, I was like, bro, Danny O'Neal, solid get in the transfer portal, had a good freshman year there in San Diego. Maryland quarterback Billy Edwards, he has a visit set up with Virginia right down the turnpike there. Not the turnpike, but the highway. Washington State quarterback John Mateer and running back Wayshawn Parker, they are in the portal. John Mateer jumped immediately to the number one list on the list of transfers for 24/7 Sports rankings. Incarnate Word quarterback Zach Calzada is in the portal as a grad transfer. Duke quarterback Malik Murphy visiting with Kentucky. He also visited with Auburn before Jackson Arnold committed. Colorado linebacker Nakai Hill Green is in the portal, former Charlotte 49er there as well. UCLA wide receiver J. Michael Sturdivant visiting Georgia. Please, Mr. Sturdivant, we need some wide receiver production next year. So would love to have you come across the country to Athens. Air Force defensive back Lincoln Tuioti Mariner. He is visiting with New Mexico State. Fresno State quarterback Mikey Keene visiting Ole Miss. And how about Stanford quarterback Ashton Daniels committing to Auburn?
Ooh.
So there is already going to be a quarterback controversy in Auburn. Jackson Arnold and Ashton Daniels both going to Alabama there in Auburn. So I don't know. I think personally, Ashton Daniels is the better player. He's the younger player. Jackson Arnold is actually no. I think they're both the same. Daniels actually might be older now that I'm thinking about it because he was a redshirt freshman. I think Jackson Arnold was a redshirt freshman or a true freshman. I can't remember. But I think Daniels is the better player. He's a dual threat a lot more than Jackson Arnold is. So right now, December 16th, before any spring ball has occurred, I would pick Ashton Daniels over Jackson Arnold for the Auburn starting quarterback in 2025. Talked about Mike Green, Marshall edge rusher Mike Green announced he is declaring for the NFL draft, first round pick, definitely. And returning, that is why Bo Pribula entered the transfer portal. Penn State announcing quarterback Drew Aller returning for his senior season in 2025. Definitely the right decision. I mean, he was not going to go very high in the draft. I mean, he has great tools physically. Still a lot to work on with Drew Aller. He's pretty accurate as well, but decision-making, I think, comes into play sometimes. And I think he needs to speed up his process a little bit. So I think one more year, college at Penn State. Maybe they get some upgrades at wide receiver. And, Drew Aller is one of the guys that CBS Sports reported as one of the 16 candidates, early candidates for the 2025 Heisman. So there you go. UFL news. Just one thing to note, the DC Defenders re-signing their leading receiver from last year, wide receiver Ty Scott, former Cincinnati Bearcat, a while ago. But excellent player. Missed a ton of games, but still led the Defenders in receiving. NFL news. How about North Carolina head coach Bill Belichick? Before he signed anything at Chapel Hill, checked in with the Jets to see about their vacant head coaching job. Apparently he didn't talk to Mr. Johnson, though. So I thought that was kind of weird. but did inquire about it for sure. That would have been something to see.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Do you
have.
think he would have resigned on a napkin like he did the previous time?
Maybe. I don't know. I just think Bill in the New York market would have been just so cool to see.
Yeah. And if they had kept Rodgers, oh my, that would have been so funny.
The 49ers fiasco has come to a close, pretty much, I guess, if you want to call it a close. They have suspended linebacker Devondre Campbell the last 3 games of the regular season. So, yeah, he's done for the year because more than likely the 49ers are not making the playoffs there. They are the only – they are technically still in 3 games back of the Commanders for the 7th seed. They are still in the NFC West race, 2 games back of the Rams and the Seahawks. A lot of work to do, but even if they make the playoffs, I highly doubt Devondre Campbell will be playing. I mentioned already the Browns Titans unsure who their starting QBs will be, and we have a flex. It's flex time. The Patriots at the Bills game this weekend has moved 3 hours and 25 minutes forward. It is moving from 1 p.m. to 4:25 time slot.
Yeah, people need to see Ramondre Stevenson. They need him.
I think Drake May versus Josh
No,
Allen.
I mean Drake May is good. I think this makes a lot of sense.
Good TV. GM carousel. We're getting that rolling with the Jets. I believe they're the only opening currently in terms of GM. I don't think there's anyone else. But they have started their process, interviewing former Titans GM John Robinson and ESPN analyst Louis Riddick. They have also, I saw a tweet just now that they are also interviewing former Falcons GM Thomas Dimitroff as well. The NFI list, the Colts right tackle Braden Smith placed on the reserve NFI list. He is out for the year. He's dealing with a personal issue, I think, was what I'm not sure exactly what it is at all, but yeah, he is done for the year. IR, the Cardinals placing running back Imari DiMercado and punter Blake Gillikin on the list, as did the Commanders wide receiver Noah Brown. He is done for the year, I know for sure. Injuries, a ton. I feel like that's been the case the last couple of weeks here. Late season injuries have been occurring. Just before I get to that, transfer portal note, Jacksonville State wide receiver, leading receiver this year, Cam Vaughn. He is going to the portal. But, yeah. Injuries, though. Raiders defensive end Max Crosby, he's done for the year. Arthroscopic ankle surgery. 2 to 4 month recovery timeline for him. Texans rookie tight end Cade Stover, he is out, I guess, indefinitely. Emergency appendectomy before their game yesterday. So that was kind of crazy. Browns cannot get worse. Running back Nick Chubb, probably done. I expect he's done for the year. Broken foot. So, yeah. Tough year for Nick Chubb. Year and a half. The Chiefs, that is the big story, though, going around right now. Patrick Mahomes, he is week to week, high ankle sprain. Not sure if he's going to be available for Saturday against the Texans. We will see. There's a lot of people that say they should rest him the rest of the season till the playoffs. A lot of people think with a 2-game lead on the 1 seed, and they only have to win 1 game down the stretch.
What's the remaining? What is the remaining
Technically.
schedule? I would say, oh man, they have a pretty tough defensive schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It's Texans, Chiefs,
Steelers,
and then Broncos.
Yeah,
I mean, I think I think if you can get one win and then rest them the rest of the way, I think the best bet really is to play them against the Texans. I would say it's the soonest turnaround, sure, but at the same time, it's you either do that or wait until Christmas Day against one of the better teams, defensive teams on the road, or wait even further and go and hedge your bets that you can win a game with Carson before facing the Broncos, another really good defensive team, again on the road. I think the best bet is you have to see if he's ready for the Texans at home, see if you can win there, and then rest him for the rest of the season. But the rest of the season, there's no guarantee even one of those games is winnable with Carson Wentz.
Including yesterday's game, 3 games in 11 days for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's not a lot in terms of time for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you play him against the Texans. I don't think there's any way. I mean, obviously you don't even know if he's going to finish the game if he would play against Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, you got 4 days till you play the Steelers on Wednesday. So,
and you know how pissed the NFL would be if they didn't have Mahomes on Christmas Day, their marquee matchup.
Oh yeah.
The NFL would not be a fan of that. That would be something they would not be happy with.
Well, the team they're playing on Christmas also has an issue injury-wise. Steelers linebacker TJ Watt, low ankle sprain. I was very concerned when I watched it live, but what I was happy about is that when they showed the replay, there was no pop.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a pop, so I was like, thank the Lord it's not an Achilles, because that's where he grabbed initially. It looked like he was grabbing his Achilles. But then I saw on the replay there wasn't a pop like we usually see with Achilles injuries. So low ankle sprain. That's another decision. They're playing on Saturday this week. Big matchup. They need to win because if they beat the Ravens, they win the division.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only 2 games left, and the best that the Ravens could do is tie.
Yeah.
So if he is close, I think that is Steelers have to play him. You need TJ Watt against the Ravens, against Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How crazy would it be if the Christmas Day game has the biggest marquee players for both teams out? Imagine we get the Christmas and Mahomes and Watt are not playing due to injury.
I think those are the two guys on the graphic too when they always.
Oh my gosh, who'd you place it with? I think you got to go. You'd have to go Jones for the Chiefs and then Russ for Steelers. It'd be Jones and Russ. But man, what a change that would have to be.
The Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, he confirmed reports pregame. He does have a broken ring finger on his left hand. He said it impacted his play, but hell, if that's his impacting, if that's it, his stats are getting impacted like that, I'll take that every day. That's fine with me.
Yeah, so I mean, you probably what would you would tape, since it's a ring finger, you tape it to the pinky? Is that how would it be, pinky or to the middle finger, or do you tape all 3?
I mean, he didn't even. I don't think he had it taped. I don't think he had it splinted like that. I think that he just had the finger itself taped up. I know they showed that him walking into the stadium, just his ring finger was taped up and bandaged. So it's probably one of those where you just have to put the metal splint on the end of it, right?
Yeah.
And then just wrap it up by itself. Worked. Lions, dude, this is crazy. The Lions injuries, especially on defense, man. It is rough in Detroit.
Real bad for Detroit right now.
Defensive tackle Aleem McNeil, torn ACL. He's done for the year. Corner Carlton Davis, broken jaw. Like, that is just one of the craziest injuries you can get in football. Like, I don't even know how that happens. He's out 6 weeks. So 6 weeks from yesterday is the NFC Championship game. So there is a possibility if the Lions get back to the NFC Championship this year, Carlton Davis could return. Also with the Lions, confirmed out for the season, running back David Montgomery. The issue with him is, so Ian Rappaport has said torn MCL. Schefter kept saying sprained MCL. I have to believe it's a torn MCL, though, because he's having surgery.
Who was the other Detroit Lion defenseman? He was a depth guy. He got injured pretty badly.
Yeah, Khalil Dorsey.
Dorsey, yeah, that was bad. He got air cast and everything.
Broken leg, I believe.
Oof. Was it fibula? I heard fibula and I heard tibia.
I'd have to believe it was his tibia.
Mm-hmm.
It was a front side injury. So I'm not sure, though.
Yeah, this is it's crazy when you're getting to the point where even the depth guys that are expected to start because of the injuries to the starters are now going down. I mean, you're digging deep into the well.
I mean, I don't know how they have a pass rush or how they cover anyone. It just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I said this to a friend of mine, like one more significant season-ending injury to an offensive player, and I don't know how they recover. Like, Sewell goes down, Amon-Ra goes down, God forbid, Jared Goff goes down. Like, I don't know how you win a playoff game at that point.
I would say Amon-Ra is okay. If he gets injured, Tim Patrick has been really good. Sam Laporta has been playing very well, and they still have Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
If Jameer went down, I mean, your
run game's gone.
You're screwed in the running. Yeah, I mean, the O line would be an issue. Obviously, if Goff would get hurt,
that would just spell
you're looking at Hendon Hooker, who has never started. So, anyways, the Broncos, they are breathing sighs of relief. Corner Pat Surtain, the second minor ankle sprain. He was listed as a DNP today at practice. Or no, actually, I think he was listed as a limited participant or something like that. But he sounds like he's going to play this week. It sounds like he's okay. Cowboys, not okay. Corner Trayvon Diggs, 8-month recovery. He's having knee cartilage surgery. So he is done. Bengals defensive end Sam Hubbard, he's likely done for the year. PCL injury there. Saints running back Alvin Kamara, groin abductor injury, says interim head coach Darren Rizzi. Not sure if he's going to play this week. Ins and outs for tonight's game. Bears running back Rashawn Johnson, he is out, dealing with concussion still. Running back DeAndre Swift, groin injury, he is questionable. I believe he is going to play, though.
You need him.
Yeah.
You don't have Swift or Johnson. Like, what the hell are you going to do?
And for the Raiders, there is question. Raiders quarterback Aiden O'Connell, he is questionable for tonight's game, but it's expected that Desmond Ridder gets a start against the Falcons. Ridder revenge game? Question mark. All right. A couple of releases for Kansas City. Obviously, Harrison Butker activated, kicked this week. They released kicker Matthew Wright. The fall from grace for Matthew Wright. AFC Special Teams Player of the Week on Wednesday, released on Thursday or Friday. And then they just released running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire today as well, former first-round pick on waivers. So we'll see if – I would be interesting to see if he gets claimed because I think he has a decent enough contract worth claiming. So we'll see. Pick standings. How the tides have turned, Jimmy.
Yes.
Logan 0-2 last week. Logan was on for some reason, lone wolfed the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football against the Bengals. And then he was on the losing side with you on Thursday with the 49ers. So that was your one loss as well. John and I, we went 2-0. We close it up. It is a sprint to the finish here on the Monday pick standings. We are all locked in, one game back for John and I. We're coming, as Dion likes to say. We're not coming in this game though, because everyone's on the same boat. Actually, for both games tonight. But Bears at the Vikings. Vikes getting 7 in mini. Take it away, Jimmy.
You know what I'm gonna say? This team's frustrating. It is a division game. It's gonna be a whiteout. I'd love to see him cover. You're really hoping, I think as a Viking fan, you're really hoping that you can stifle the run offense has been dead for the Bears basically all season. With Braxton Miller being hurt, that offensive line is really rough. You're hoping guys like Grenard and Van Ginkel can really just demolish Williams, because they've had 3 games this year where Caleb Williams has been sacked more than 6 times. I've all the belief in the world that, unless Thomas Brown gets smart and realizes the best thing he can do is quick passes over the middle or to the sideline and not long developing plays where Caleb has to have a clean pocket. And I mean, other side around, Vikings don't have any significant injuries on the offensive side. I think the only guy that was on the injured report coming into the day was Stephon Gilmore, and he was questionable. Ears hoping that, kind of like the game against the Bears earlier this season, you just spread it around. If Jefferson's covered, you throw to Addison. If Addison's covered, you throw to Jefferson. If they're both covered, you throw to Hawk. So yeah, I'm your classic cynical Viking fan. I'm confident, but I'm not. I'm hoping they can cover, not betting on it.
I will take it. I will take Minnesota -7. Like you said, I just think if the Vikings get up and force Caleb to throw a lot, it's going to be a difficult night. And even with DeAndre Swift more than likely playing, the Bears have been so ineffective running the ball this year. I don't think it's going to matter. I think the big boys up front, and I'm blanking on what that man's name is. The guy that came in from the Arlington Renegades this year. Redmond, Jalen Redmond. I think he's going to have a good game up front. Like you said, Gink should eat. And who's the other guy on the other side there?
Oh, Grenard.
Grenard, yeah. He should have a good game as well. So I think if the Vikings can get a lead, I think they might be able to cruise.
Yeah. And you're just hoping, like with, again, Jones out, Bates is out as well. You're just hoping that you can just get to the guy.
And I don't think the Bears defense has been what it was early in the year.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help that, Billings, Jones, Brisker, Coleman are IR, Dexter Sr. is out. Yep. I mean, that's a lot of guys missing.
Yeah, so run game should be available for Aaron Jones. Total here is 43.5. My initial thought was over, but again, with both teams, the Bears, like I said, defense hasn't been up to what they were early in the year. I'm leaning on the under. 8 p.m. ABC and ESPN Plus. Second game tonight, Falcons 6.5 points at the Raiders. Trap game, Jasmine Ritter revenge game potentially in Vegas. I still lean Falcons. Still think Falcons have a chance to cover. And this is why I really liked Kirk Cousins and every single Atlanta Falcons player in fantasy for the playoff schedule that they had, because it's very nice. No Max Crosby. You're not going to have to – Kirk's not going to have an issue with him. So I don't see how the Falcons don't roll.
Yeah, I mean, unless you have a multi-turnover game like you had last week against the Vikings, I really don't think this will be close.
Yeah. But again, it's just who's going to get pressure. If you don't have to deal with Crosby, you can devote your offensive line resources to other people. And to be honest, I can't. Tyree Wilson is probably going to be the number one guy they're going to look for. So there's really not a lot of other scary people. Actually, Christian Wilkins is probably going to be the number one guy I would put my O-line toward.
Yeah. I think the thing for the Falcons is protecting up the middle, because Cousins, although he doesn't leave the pocket, he likes to step up in the pocket. So you just got to keep the space right in front of him open. And that just comes down to getting Wilkins and Wilson just to the outside and forced to take a longer route to get into the pocket against Cousins. So, yeah.
I think the Falcons should run the ball as well. Raiders are bottom third in rush defense.
Bijan. Yeah, Bijan Robinson. There's no reason to not hammer the ball.
I actually like the over in terms of rushing attempts and rushing yards for Tyler Algier as well.
Yeah, that's a good rushing team they got there. So I really think they should be running a lot.
Total's 44.5. I'm going to go with the under. I don't trust this Raiders offense to score enough points to get it over.
Hell, I don't even trust the Falcons' offenses score either. They've both these offenses are kind of meh at best.
Yeah, but the Falcons have the potential.
Yeah.
8:30 on ESPN tonight. And on Thursday, we do have John's pick, by the way. We do have John's pick. It came in hot during the show, and this is what John's pick is. Bo knows, baby. Bo knows. I am rolling with Bo Nix, my lone wolf on the Broncos on Thursday night. Why? Because of the Chargers' inability to run the ball, okay? Look at what the Broncos have done defensively the last couple of games. They have been completely dominant, especially in the second half when they've made the adjustments they've needed to under defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. And the Chargers' defense, for some odd reason, they've been getting blown up the last couple of games. So while Bo did throw 3 interceptions against Colts, didn't end up hurting him because, for one, the Broncos had a defensive touchdown like they had 2 against the Browns a couple weeks ago. And while Justin Herbert threw his first interception in like 270 pass attempts against the Bucs, I don't think he's going to throw one. But I do think the Broncos will punch the ball out at some point, get at least 1 turnover against the LA offense. And I just think they're going to shut down these young wide receivers. Especially, I think Pat Surtain should be good enough to play. And not sure if they're going to get Riley Moss back for this game or not. It would be a big help if they did. But Jaquan McMillan has been outstanding as well. They got Brandon Jones at safety, who had a great game last week. And I just think the Broncos offensively, there's not going to be a lot of running game in this one. I can tell you that. Both offenses can't run the ball very well. But I like the Broncos defense over the Chargers defense to win this game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to disagree a little bit just because I think even if Surtain comes back, ankle sprains in a position where you have to turn on your feet really well, it's going to affect his play. And being at home, I think the Chargers, a Harbaugh team losing back-to-back games, I have a tough time wrapping my head around. So, yeah, that's why I went Chargers here. I think it's just, even if Surtain plays, I think an ankle injury at such a position is limiting. Like, he could be down to 70, 80% effectiveness, and that's significant. I think Herbert is also just a really good talent. Even without being able to run the ball, I think he's going to do a pretty good job of getting the ball where he wants, even if it's to mediocre wide receivers. So, yeah, that's why I'm going Chargers.
Well, we're getting down to it on the picks here, Jimmy, on the Monday show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to take a leap. I'm down 1, and somehow we still have not hit a lone wolf on the Monday show. 0-12.
One of these days, man. One of these days.
You're 0-2. I'm 0-2. Logan and John are 0-3. This is the week, y'all. Nix, Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos are going to go to LA and win.
The tides are changing.
The total for this one, 42.5. I like the under divisional battle. I think there's going to be like 17-13.
Mm-hmm.
Just under 40 points. 8:15 p.m. Prime Video.
Yeah.
Next week's going to be a fun one, y'all. It's actually NFL Week 17, the start of it. But Monday Night Football, we got Saints-Packers. Stupid game. But on on Saturday, we got 2 games. Excellent. Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, Texans should be entertaining. And then we got the Thursday night game opener, Week 17, Seahawks at the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast, Instagram and X, FAA_bets on X as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. You check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Thank you for all the downloads this week, and we will see you all back for Football Friday.